Good day everyone, my name is Rebecca Aibado and now I'm going to continue our report and I will be discussing about the principle of design. So when we say principle of design is a long-held composition techniques which have been proven and used by both fine and graphic artists to communicate ideas and concepts effectively. So there is a variety of proposed principle. So these are, first is the contrast. So contrast is the reverse of label of difference between the design elements in order to create a visual hierarchies. So the variation makes a certain element stand out more than others. So you can apply contrast by using colors, textures, size, and shape. Contrast also can create a focal point to a certain elements that can be drawn the viewer's eye. So lack of contrast can make the design look dull and the viewers can overlook the important message. Next is the harmony. Harmony is a principle of design. It is the sense of cohesive between the elements in a composition. So the elements shouldn't be exactly the same or completely different but related in the some way. So color, similar to textures, can create a sense of unity between different components. So using similarly shaped items will create a harmony because they will seem related. Next is the balance. So in order to make a design feel stable or have a balance, so the elements need to have a certain scale. For instance, in a symmetric design, the elements of the right side have the same visual weight as the element on the left side. So a symmetrical design are easier to balance but can also be across as boring. So a symmetrical design have different ideas but equal to visual weight. So being able to achieve a balance in a symmetry can result a visually interesting design that has the movement. So lack of balance would make your design feel heavy on the side and empty on the opposite. So next is the rhythm. So a principle of design has more complexity than the previous principle of repetition and pattern. So repetition and pattern are applied to the same elements throughout a design. So a rhythm is a visual tempo of a combination of elements when used repeatedly and with variation, and it gives a feeling of organized movement. Next is the movement. So in the principle of design, it is refers of the path the viewer eye takes through a composition in an image, so every element can effective how the eyes move. So important element will lead to a secondary element and so on. So movement in a composition, it creates interest and dynamisms that keeps the viewer engaged. So next is the variety. Variety is a principle of design. It's about creating a visual interest that will keep the viewer engaged with your design. So holding their attention and guiding them through the composition will create a powerful user experience. So next is the variety. Variety is add something interesting to composition to create a contrast and tension. So for instance, the mixing organic shapes with a geometric shape and variety. Next is the unity. So in the principle of design, it is the harmony pursued by all the elements in the design piece. So for instance, using a similar colors that match and integrate element organically makes it appear as they belong together and are not just to put on the page. Next is emphasis. So it is a strategy to create a viewer's attention to a specific design element. This can be any form of button, a website, or any image. The purpose is to create something that will stand out from the rest of the page. You can use different elements to highlight a specific part of your design, like lines, color, positive or negative relationship, and many more. As long as you can create a contrast either with elements or colors, you'd be creating an emphasis. So this is our for example, the lines. Lines is to create a direction in a page by pointing the specific elements that help the viewer's eyes know where to go. And shape can also draw attention using a group of similar shape and breaking the group with different shape and will create attention and through the eyes. Next is the color can create the emphasis in any design. and the textures can be seen in materials to enhance tactile figures. And the space is also an option to emphasize certain elements in your design. So enough void to a space around an object can prioritize the focus on a single element. Next is the proportion. And the principle of design is the sense of unity created with all the elements in a composition related with each other. So the proportion is mostly about scale and size when the two elements are compared. So for instance, in the art and drawing, proportion is important for the element to look realistic. Proportion is a principle of design. It doesn't necessarily refers to the size of one element, but to a relationship of two or more elements. So next is the depth. So you create a dimension through texture, shadow, 3D effects, and etc. Lastly is the perspective. So it is used to make an object appear to have a dimension. So that's the principle of design. So we have a contrast, harmony, balance, rhythm, movement, variety, unity, emphasis, proportion, depth, and perspective. And that's the end of my report, and thank you for listening.